This podcast is an invitation to feel and experience the souls of famous old Hollywood homes and to have an in-depth journey to the areas where they're located through interviews with longtime residents. Either you're a fan of old Hollywood in Los Angeles, planning to have a vacation, or, an even bigger step, considering a certain area for your future home. This is your opportunity to receive valuable information and insightful advice you won't find anywhere else.
Hello, and welcome to my podcast. Are you in the mood for California? Today, we'll explore the history and atmosphere of Bronson Canyon, featuring an interview with wonderful Russell Brown.
Bronson Canyon is the next sort of canyon over from Beechwood. It's just a little further east. And, my neighborhood I live in an HPOZ, so the neighborhood really hasn't changed since the early part of the 20th century. So it feels very of a specific time, which I think is really romantic. And it's a great energy to sort of be in a place that hasn't changed all that much, that you can really sense the past.
Yes.
But also, it's where I live also, there's so much that is accessible by walking. I can walk to the Hollywood Bowl. I can walk to restaurants and grocery market and a bookstore, all, within 5 minutes of where I live. I can walk to the amazing Griffith Park, so I can walk to hiking trails and use Griffith Park. There's just so much that's available by foot. So I really appreciate that about my neighborhood also.
Masha Korpacheva is a California-based realtor and a member of the National Association of Realtors in Los Angeles. She's an advocate for selling and buying homes with soul and practicing mindfulness in real estate. With master's degrees in spiritual psychology and linguistics, Masha brings all of her skills to work with her clients. An intuit and empath, she has touched many lives with her outstanding ability to see beyond the visible and helping to come to better understanding of issues and their resolutions. An adventurous world traveler, from climbing Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania to exploring the Galapagos Islands, Masha has a particular passion for the City of Angels. Having landed in this paradise and adopted it as her home, she's been sharing old Hollywood stories since 2007. In the mood for California, feel the soul of old Hollywood.
And now, are you ready to experience Bronson Canyon? Nestled snugly in the embrace of the Hollywood Hills, Bronson Canyon stands as a testament to the timeless allure of old Hollywood charm and the quiet majesty of nature. For those fortunate enough to call it home, this enclave is more than just a neighborhood. It's a sanctuary, a place where history whispers through the rustling leaves and the winding streets tell tales of a bygone era. Unlike its more ostentatious neighbor, Beechwood, Bronson Canyon is a well-kept secret, known only to those who seek its hidden treasures. As you traverse its historic homes and meandering pathways, you cannot help but feel a sense of belonging wash over you. Every corner reveals a new surprise. Every street turn holds a piece of history waiting to be uncovered. At the heart of Bronson Canyon lies its most iconic feature, the Bronson Caves. These rocky formations, remnants of a long abandoned quarry, attest to the symbiotic relationship between Hollywood and its natural surroundings, a relationship that has shaped the landscape of American cinema for over a century. In the early 1900s, the Union Rock Company carved out a quarry in what was then known as Brush Canyon, a few miles north of Franklin Avenue. This quarry was a vital source of crushed rock used to pave the streets of burgeoning communities like Hollywood. As the city expanded and the demand for building materials grew, the quarry thrived. Its operations carried out by an electric train on the Brush Canyon line. However, as the time marched on and the hillsides were gradually populated with homes, the quarry's usefulness waned. By the late 1920s, it had ceased operations, leaving behind a series of caves. It wasn't long before filmmakers recognized the potential of Bronson Canyon as a cinematic setting. With its rugged terrain and remote-looking setting, the canyon provided the perfect backdrop for scenes set in the untamed wilderness of the American West. From sprawling Western epics to otherworldly science fiction adventures, the caves of Bronson Canyon became a sought-after location for filmmakers looking to add authenticity to their productions. From the silent classics of the early 20th century to the blockbusters of today, its caves have played host to a staggering array of cinematic adventures. The Batcave from the iconic 1960s Batman television series, the desolate wilderness of the Searchers, the alien landscapes of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Each film is a vivid demonstration of the enduring allure of this hidden gem. But perhaps what is most remarkable about Bronson Canyon is the way in which it has transformed the perception of its surroundings. What was once a modest V-shaped canyon, no larger than 2 city blocks, has been immortalized on the silver screen as a vast and untamed wilderness. The power of cinema to shape our perceptions of the world around us and to transport us to distant lands and ignite our imaginations is truly uncanny. Bronson Canyon definitely transcends its role as a mere filming location. It stands as a symbol of Hollywood's eternal enchantment with the wonders of the natural world. And it serves as a poignant reminder that amidst the hustle and bustle of urban life, true magic can still be discovered in the most unexpected corners of Los Angeles. And here we are. Welcome to Bronson Canyon. I'm so delighted to have Russell Brown here with me. Filmmaker Russell Brown's body of work includes 5 narrative features, 2 full-length documentaries, and a number of well-regarded narrative and documentary shorts. His feature films have opened theatrically in select cities to favorable reviews after playing at more than 270 festivals around the world. His diverse filmography includes Loren and Rose, Mama Laura's Boys, the 44 Scarves of Liza Minnelli, and the Kaleidoscope Guy at the Market. He is known in particular for directing actresses to award-winning and critically acclaimed performances and has worked with Jacqueline Bisset, Cybil Shepherd, Karen Black, Connie Stevens, Daphne Zuniga, Amber Benson, Joely Fisher, Natasha Wagner, and more. Russell is a member of the Writers Guild of America and is a Film Independent Producing Fellow. His films are held as part of the collection at the UCLA Film and Television Archive. Brown also dedicates a significant amount of time to philanthropic work and has spearheaded initiatives with the LA Philharmonic, the USC School of Poetry, Harvard Westlake High School, and the Da Camera Society. He is the founder of Friends of Residential Treasures, Los Angeles, a nonprofit dedicated to bringing people together by celebrating the history and influence of residential architecture. Please check out the website www.friendsofresidential.org fortla.org. Russell will share with us his journey and what it feels like to live in Bronson Canyon. Hello, Russell.
Hi, Masha.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, and now even better because we finally get to talk with you, and I'm beyond excited about our conversation.
Oh, well, me too. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. Well, you're such an inspiration, and also as someone who is so deeply connected to the city of Los Angeles as you are, maybe you could share what aspects of the city resonate with you the most. What is your Los Angeles?
I mean, there's so many different aspects of Los Angeles that I really love. But I mean, I guess some of the things that come to mind first is the sort of, first of all, really the proximity to nature that is so available and close in Los Angeles, you know, between hiking trails and beaches and just opportunities to be outside and just the sort of outside culture that's so alive here.
Yes.
I love that. I mean, I love that Los Angeles is a city of dreamers and a city of people that come to experiment, whether it's experiment with their spirituality or experiment with their artistry, or, you know, it's always been a city where people came to kind of reinvent themselves. And to me, there's something very free and exciting about that, that I really respond to. And, you know, also I'm a filmmaker, so I love, you know, the Los Angeles is so much a city that grew up around the film industry, and Los Angeles and Hollywood are so integrally tied, you know, and so just that when you're walking and being in Los Angeles, you're kind of constantly surrounded by this kind of movie history and movie culture that is so exciting and interesting to me.
Yes.
So I love that. And and then I just have, you know, my favorite places and things to do in LA that I enjoy. I mean, and also the cultural diversity of Los Angeles is something that is always like astonishing and interesting to me, you know, in terms of the food that's available and the art that's available. And, you know, it's a really vibrant, diverse place.
Yes, so true. It's like a whole world in a miniature.
Totally. And, you know, I think a lot of cities are like that. You know, I don't know if that's something that's specific to LA, but I think it's, you know, it's very alive here.
And being free to recreate yourself is resonating with me really well, because this is exactly the city where you come to do exactly that.
Yeah. And it's a city that kind of welcomes experimentation, you know, and welcomes creativity.
Yes, this is so true. And so you live in a beautiful place, Bronson Canyon, and it's absolutely magical. And how would you describe the unique vibe and maybe even cultural essence of Bronson Canyon to someone who has never been there?
Well, just for people, you know, most people are really oriented towards Beechwood Canyon because they know exactly where that is. And so Bronson Canyon is the next sort of canyon over from Beechwood. It's just a little further east. And, you know, my neighborhood I live in an HPOZ, so the neighborhood really hasn't changed since the early part of the 20th century. So it feels very of a specific time, you know, which I think is really romantic. And it's a great energy to sort of be in a place that hasn't changed all that much, you know, that you can really sense the past.
Yes.
But also, it's a very, where I live also, you know, there's so much that is accessible by walking. You know, I can walk to the Hollywood Bowl. I can walk to restaurants and grocery market and a bookstore, all, you know, within 5 minutes of where I live. You know, I can walk to the amazing Griffith Park, you know, so I can walk to hiking trails and use Griffith Park. There's just so much that's available by foot. So I really appreciate that about my neighborhood also.
Right. And what about the sense of community in Bronson Canyon?
I mean, I don't know. I really just, my neighbors and I are all kind of friendly, you know, but I don't know if I sense a community here the way that I think you can really feel a community in other parts, in other cities, you know. I think my real family and my real sort of community isn't necessarily geographic in my life in Los Angeles.
Okay. So it sounds like Bronson Canyon is more for contemplation and being close to nature and being close to the past rather than being like part of a community right there and then.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, certainly that sort of strip of restaurants and stores on Franklin that's right next to Bronson Canyon. If you walk along there, you do feel like you're part of kind of an energetic situation. There's
Right.
always people there at UCB, but that I don't really think of that as my tribe, so to speak.
Okay, I understand. Well, maybe that's why you created Fort LA and you're the founder of this incredible nonprofit organization dedicated to celebrating the Los Angeles residential architectural history. And I would love for you to share what actually motivated you to establish this organization. And maybe you could speak a little bit about a standout moment or project that exemplifies Fort LA's mission in action.
Great. Well, I mean, in terms of what inspired the start of it, I'm a native Angelino and I'm an architecture kind of fan. I'm not a historian. I'm not an architecture expert, but I kept coming across this thing where people who lived in LA and, my neighbors or my friends were really incredibly unaware of the architectural history of LA and sort of what was just available to go look at. And it was also something that I came across when I was traveling a lot. I would talk to people about Los Angeles and say, what a great architecture city it is. And, people would look at me sort of dumbfounded because there's this,
right,
assumption that LA is a city of strip balls and that's all we've got here. And
right.
I kind of thought there was never a great resource or website where I could just direct people that would to go and sort of get an overview of of what I was talking about. You could sort of direct people to sort of individual house museum websites or, to the LA Conservancy, but the LA Conservancy really has a different type of mission. And there wasn't anybody putting it together in a way that I thought was like fun, informative, entertaining, kind of user-friendly. And that was really the question that we started with, like, how do you create a series of programs to address this?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you actually wanted to share probably the Los Angeles that you love, the Los Angeles that you see and treasure with people who had no idea what Los Angeles is about.
I mean, that I think that was a big part of it, is that I see the city as having huge opportunity and, incredible history and incredible art and architecture in so many corners of the city. And I just didn't think anybody was curating it that well.
Right,
To be honest, so that was kind of the start. But then, I think our programs actually encompass, the 4 programs that we're running kind of encompass are able to do even kind of broader things than just that, which is something I'm really excited about and proud of about the organization.
Right. Wow, that's incredible. Maybe there is some project that you've done in the past that truly stands out for you and that exemplifies the mission of Fort LA.
Well, I could talk sort of individually. Maybe I could talk a little bit about the 4 programs and maybe just some things that come to, as my favorite projects that have come out of each. That might be kind of a good way. Like,
please do.
So our first program, our sort of signature program, is called Fort Trails. And for those of you who haven't been to the website, every month we publish a different trail map on a different architectural theme. And we work with a different curator to choose the stops on the trail. So we're sort of tapping into the expertise of curators or of our partners to help design these trail maps. And then our research team puts together a deep dive of information about every house on the trail. Mm-hmm. So you end up being able to download, like a 60 or 70 page booklet that gives you a map and 5 houses and a lot of information. So I sort of love all the trails because they're all kind of they're all sort of they're my children in a way.
Yes.
So, I work on all of them, but a few that come to mind, there was a trail by Maristella Casciato. She is with the Getty Research Institute, and she put together this incredible trail of houses on one street, and it was the relation of architecturally significant houses And it was the relationship of the houses and the trees that are in front of them. So it's about how trees and houses on this one street were kind of in dialogue with each other.
Wow, that is amazing. That just sounds so magical. Oh,
it was so great. And it was such an unusual idea. And I remember walking that trail and thinking, like, I suddenly see the environment, in such a different way. I see the architecture in a different way, and I see the nature in a different way, and I see how they're talking to each other in a different way. And so that was a really interesting trail. We have like 45 of these trails on the website.
mm-hmm.
So just, going through my mind here about like some of the other ones. But the other one I guess I would bring up is every October we do a witch house trail.
Mm-hmm.
And these have been really popular. People love them. And it's basically storybook architecture. And every Halloween, those are curated by Amber Benson, who was on Buffy the Vampire Slayer and wrote a series of books about witches. So it's the witch house trails are really popular and really fun and really get into sort of like the whimsical nature or the whimsical, types of architecture that exist.
Yes.
And they really spark people's imaginations. And I've seen a lot of people taking those trails. Like I've been out on the road taking them myself, and I'll see people standing out there looking at the houses with their maps. And that just feels great.
Yes.
The next program that we run is called the Fort Fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
So we give grants to mostly academics to do research projects about aspects of LA residential architecture that interest them. So there was one project that came out of that about a woman named Mary Louise Schmidt, who organized the 1936 California House and Garden exhibition, which became an incredibly influential moment in architectural history because she brought all these houses into this area, and all the architects who created these houses ended up being very famous architects. And it was really a project about her and her life and her influence. And I loved that project because I just thought it was just so fascinating at history. And then right now in the fellowship program, we're doing a project called Awesome and Affordable,
mm-hmm.
where we're collaborating with Frances Anderton, you may know from KCRW.
Yes.
And she wrote, it's a 3-part project. One is the essay she wrote called The Case for Great Housing, which is about sort of history of affordable housing in Los Angeles and kind of where we're at with affordable housing. And then every month she is identifying an awesome and affordable housing project and talking about the story about how that building came into existence. So it's really making this argument that there's great looking, well-designed, affordable housing in the world. I think it's sort of an antidote to the current dialogue about affordable housing, that it's all kind of horrible.
Right.
And the third part of her project is called the Housing Terminology Playbook, where it's massive glossary that she's put together of every term and every government agency and anything you've ever wanted to know about affordable housing but didn't know what the letters meant or what the terms meant.
Mm-hmm.
It's in our glossary. So that's our fellowship program. Our third program that I could tell you about is called Frames. So every month we work with a creative person, like a filmmaker, a writer, a musician. We bring them into architecturally significant houses and they create work based on their time in the house.
Mm.
So the idea is a lot of these architecturally significant houses you can't go inside, they're private residences, but
right.
We're trying to give our audience a way into the houses through metaphor, through how artists are seeing and hearing and experiencing the architecture. So, for example, there was one project that we did with Veronica Krausas, who's a composer, and she gives a lot of the lectures at the LA Phil before concerts, and she teaches at USC. And we brought her into a Schindler house called the Rodriguez House, and she created a 29-track playlist.
Wow.
About all these aspects of the house that she was experiencing and the music that related to those aspects of the house.
Wow. So
I just thought it was a great way to sort of understand the architecture through music. We also brought in a mixologist to the W.C. Fields house, and he created a cocktail based on his time inside the architecture, and each ingredient in the cocktail kind of represented some aspect that he felt or experienced in the house. So the cocktail became a real representation of the house.
Oh, unbelievable. What a great idea.
It's fun, right? And then so that's our frames program. And then finally our fourth program is called Gatherings. And that's just basically, webinars and in-person events where Masha and I met. Actually, we met at an event at the Neutra Institute.
That's right.
That was a project that we co-hosted with the Neutra Institute. So anyway, that's kind of our suite of programs in a nutshell.
Wow, that is quite a nutshell, I must say. Like this is this is incredible that you actually do all of these programs under the umbrella of Fort LA. Bravo, bravo to this incredible work that you do.
Thanks.
Well, and on top of this, Russell, you're also a filmmaker and you have earned so many various awards for directing and writing, acting and editing. And then your feature films have received acclaimed nationally and internationally. Well, first of all, I have no idea where you even found the time to do all of that, but maybe you can talk a little bit about the themes or messages that you often explore in your films, and how do you see your role as a filmmaker in contributing to the cultural tapestry of Los Angeles?
Wow, that's a great question. All of my films are all really set and they're all set in Los Angeles, and I think they're all dealing with the types of experience, very sort of specific experiences of Angelinos. I mean, we're talking about my fiction films now because I've also made some documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
For example, my most recent film called Loren Rose, which stars Jacqueline Bisset, is about the relationship of a young filmmaker and a once iconic actress who's trying to revive her career. And the movie is about their friendship and about their bond that they form with each other after working together. And I think, that experience of collaboration and the friends you meet and the relationships you forge with mentors and with, people you work with on these creative projects is something, that a lot of people in Los Angeles can relate to. It's like kind of a very Los Angeles story.
Mm-hmm.
I think all of my films are really about, I think they all have a sort of sense of almost spirituality, I guess you would call it, maybe, like really just what life's about. You know what I mean? And what our relationships with each other are about, and I think I do it with sort of a light touch. They're usually comedies,
Mm-hmm.
and then my nonfiction films, like I made a film about the secret stairs of Los Angeles, which was a sort of 75-minute movie where you drift backwards down 27 secret staircases in LA. And it sort of gives you a whole vision of the different landscapes and the different materials and the different areas of Los Angeles, all through this kind of hypnotic experience of going down staircases.
Yes, yes. Is it based on the book by Charles Fleming?
It was very much aided by the book by Charles Fleming. I mean, the book really launched the project, the movie project. But, I have some staircases that I think are in the movie that aren't in the book. But the book was definitely an inspiration.
Yes, it's incredible.
And I made a documentary about a blues club in LA called Babes and Ricky's Inn, which was in Leimert Park.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really a movie about blues musicians in LA. And I made a documentary called Karen Black on Acting, which is about the actress Karen Black talking about how she creates a role and sort of her artistic process.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way that they're all linked to the city.
Yes. It looks like, you wear so many hats and you pour your heart in all of your projects that you're involved in. And I think one of the most touching probably aspects of your work to me happens to be that you're actually a certified animal therapist. I mean, when I found this out, as I thought, like, oh my God, this is so special. And Fort LA, right? Architecture, history, all these beautiful houses, then filmmaking, and of course spirituality, and then out of the blue, you're a certified animal therapist. And I just cannot help but ask you, how did this initiative come about? And maybe you can share what has been like the most rewarding aspect of your work with it.
Well, what really happened there was, this isn't something that I practice anymore, actually, but what happened there is I had a very gentle cat, and he was a very sweet cat named Lars, and everyone was always commenting on, this is really the nicest cat they'd ever met. He was just a very special creature. And a friend of mine was doing was visiting hospitals with her dog, and she said, we have a real need for cats because cats don't really tolerate the hospital environment very well. And some people are afraid of dogs, and some people just love cats. But we have we only have one other cat in our program. And so I sort of had a little consultation with Lars. He and I chatted about it. And he said he would volunteer to do it. So I got him trained. It wasn't that much training, but he had to pass a test.
Mm-hmm.
And for many years, we visited 3 hospitals a month,
Wow.
just visiting patients. And he was basically providing palliative care to patients through his catness.
Oh, this is so adorable. And so his name was Lars, you said, right?
Yes.
And so did you name him after Lars von Trier?
No, he came with the name Lars. Like
Okay.
he was a shelter cat, and someone else had named him Lars.
Okay, because it's a very, cinematic name in a way.
Yeah, no, I know. But yeah, I didn't name him, but he sure looked like a Lars.
Wow. Well, I'm sure he brought a lot of joy, together with you to the hospital patients that you visited and over the years. And it must have been a very special experience.
It was actually an amazing experience. I loved doing that. It was pretty powerful to be with people in those situations and to be able to do something for them.
Right, right. And I don't think there is anything more meaningful in our life and in our work than being able to truly connect with another human being.
Yeah, and to be of service,
Yes.
it feels, it's a great feeling to know that you made someone's life better.
Exactly, absolutely. And looking ahead, Russell, what do you hope will be the lasting legacy or impact of your work, both as a filmmaker and through your roles at Fort LA, and also the Maddox Brown Foundation that I haven't mentioned yet, on the community and cultural fabric of Los Angeles?
Well, with Fort LA, I mean, it would really be my dream for the city to sort of have greater respect for its own architectural legacy and to really sort of promote what's available here to the world, and that become part of the identity of the city, that LA is a city of great architecture. I think the impact of that would be so great. I think it would be great for civic pride. It would be great for tourism. I mean, it would be great for people's just enjoyment of their lives. If Fort LA can contribute to that, and in general, the knowledge and appreciation of architecture in the city can grow, that would be, I think, really a rewarding feeling. In terms of filmmaking, it happens all the time with me, at least, where I'm in theaters and I'm going to film festivals, and people are just very touched by the work. And that feels great, that something I wrote kind of connected with somebody and made them, have an emotional experience. And it was special to them. And, I think you can't really ask for much more than that as an artist.
Yes.
And then Maddox Brown Foundation, that really is a project that was started by my mother that I help her with. It's really, I'd say the things we're most proud of that we do through that foundation are helping sort of new artistic work come into the world. We have a collaboration with the USC School of Poetry, where we provide funds for a poet every year to take a trip to inspire a new poem. So it's sort of a travel writing grant. We have a collaboration with the LA Philharmonic, where the foundation sponsors a new piece of music, contemporary music, every year by a living composer. So I'd say that just generally, as an overview, the foundation is really interested in promoting new work.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. And Russell, I'm beyond grateful for our conversation today. And even more so, thank you so much for doing this incredible work for the city of Los Angeles, for the people of the city of Los Angeles, and bringing out the most beautiful features of the city, the most sparkling gems, architecture and artists and spirituality that is so prominent in the city. So thank you so much for supporting the arts in such a huge way, and arts in so many different fields. It's just incredible, everything that you do. And thank you so, so much.
Oh, thanks, Masha. It was great to talk to you. It was great to meet you. I was so happy to meet
Yes,
you. It was really fun meeting you. So I know we'll be friends.
I believe so too. Yeah, I feel that it is the beginning of our friendship for many, many more years to come, because we definitely have very similar interests.
Great. Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, and all the best to you with all of your new beginnings.
Okay, you too. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much for tuning in to feel and experience Bronson Canyon with my special guest, Russell Brown. If you enjoy my podcast, In the Mood for California, please sign up for future episodes at your preferred platform, and please leave your feedback. I really appreciate your time and support. You can follow me on Instagram at In the Mood for California, and check out my website, www.inthemoodforcalifornia.com. I'm a realtor with Beverly & Company Luxury Properties, and my license number is 019-78714. Selling and buying homes with soul is not just my real estate strategy. It is an intuitive and holistic approach that embraces your values, aspirations, and conscious intentions. If you want to discover the power of mindfulness in your real estate journey with my compassionate guidance, I'm here for you. Next time, we will explore the magic of Whitley Heights. So looking forward to seeing you there.
In the Mood for California. Feel the soul of Old Hollywood.